The movie #LookAtMe was recently refused classification in Singapore on the grounds of its potential to cause enmity and social division. But is this the best way forward for Singapore? On this episode of IMO, we discuss why and if Singapore should ban movies. You know, when I first saw that news headline, you know what was the first thought that popped in my head? Which country can I go to watch?
Okay, I understand in 1973 if you ban a movie, they don't get the internet and like travel was less prevalent in the past. It no longer applies now because like now you can just like Google that shit.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And yes, welcome to another wonderful episode. I am finally out of COVID.
I don't think many people will have... you know what? I think when this video comes out, they wouldn't have gone through the video of you not being here because of COVID.
Well, last episode I wasn't here not because of COVID. So if you're curious about what went down the last episode, please go and watch us. We are Overthink SG everywhere.
Yes.
We Overthink SG on YouTube, Overthink SG on TikTok, Overthink SG on Instagram, Overthink SG even on Telegram.
Yes. And maybe OnlyFans. And also...
And Twitch.
For some people who are a bit confused, like, wait, last episode John was still here. It's because we record some of it out of order and I'm not releasing it chronologically.
Oh.
So maybe one of the episodes John will be missing.
So I lied.
So when it's, you know, it's complicated.
I lied, but it's Alessa's fault. God damn.
It's Alessa's whatever. Okay, so this is like fake news, which really well segues into our...
Oh yes.
It's all about the fake news,
The
right?
fakeerinos
It's all about
and the newserinos.
about the censorships that our government is doing. So basically, the reason why we are talking about this is because recently the Singapore government has banned a movie.
Yes, basically it barred a rating for a movie, and if you all don't know, right, movies, in order to be aired legally in theaters, in legal theaters in Singapore, you need to have a rating.
Rating is like a NC-16, PG-13, R21, M18 and all
So
that.
if you're unrated, basically you are disallowed.
Yes, you're not allowed to be to show your movie.
There's
in
no
like,
showing, lah.
There's no film guard showing your shows.
Exactly.
Or like Kete or whatever.
Right?
And so recently there was one movie that's, what's it called? Look at Me.
You're gonna have to give me a sec.
Is it Look at Me? Oh my god, guys, I swear we researched this before and we had this whole conversation before. It's just slipping our minds because we're very tired, but I'm quite sure...
Yes, #LookAtMe.
It's #Look at Me. I'm quite sure, it is #Look at
By
Me.
Ken Kwek.
It's by Ken Kwek. And basically it's a movie about like this...
The experiences of a sibling
and
from the LGBTQ plus community.
And the reason why it was banned is because apparently there was one part where Adrian Pang actually plays like a pastor.
Correct.
And the pastor...
the story, right? Okay,
Yeah.
basically the context that was given, do fact check me and correct me if I'm wrong, but we will try to link an article in the description below. But basically what transpired was that the root cause for the barring was the IMDA and the government were worried, right, that there would be it might cause religious discontent.
Yes, because apparently it is like there's a lot of religious undertones first of all, and also
there is a pastor character.
Yes, there's a pastor character which did some not so good things.
Yes,
and apparently it might be linked to another actual real life pastor.
Correct, and the government bodies were worried, right, that there was this significant, they call it like a significant relationship that you can link to a local pastor, even though Ken Kwek, if I'm not wrong, right, has come out to say this is a work of fiction.
But yeah, I mean, but I guess the Singapore government is just feeling a little bit of the
heat.
Yeah, you know, they are reading between the lines.
Yes,
they're filling in the little gaps.
Yes, they
but
are.
I think we haven't watched the movie.
Because even if we have, we can't admit here.
Thanks, Obama. Okay. We haven't watched the movie, evidently. So we can't really comment much on the movie. But what this has got us thinking is, what are the other... Because Singapore is known to have like bad censorship, right? And what other movies have been banned because of this? Or what other movies have controversial releases. Yeah, or gotten ratings that were a lot higher than people think they should have gotten. So that was our thought process of this video. We were going to go through some of the reasonings that Singapore has banned other movies in the past before. And go through why whether or not we think is should be that case. There's a valid reason, and maybe like try to reverse engineer the reasons as to why they're doing such things.
And fun fact, if you all Google movies banned in Singapore, there's an entire Wikipedia contribution contribution to that.
Yes, I am
there's a
actually going to
list.
refer to it right now for the episode. But yes, there's a whole list. It's a lot more than I thought, but there's a whole ass list.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about it, right?
Yeah. So I think one of the main themes of whenever like the government bans a movie is political unrest.
Okay.
Or like the ability to cause maybe societal unrest or political unrest. So it's maybe movies that are a little bit more controversial in nature. You know, yeah. So for example, one of them is the very famous what's the movie called? Sahari 17 Years. So and according to Wikipedia, is banned because according to the government of Singapore, is against public interests. So the movie is actually about this person who was allegedly held under captivity, held under captivity by the Singapore government.
A political prisoner.
A political prisoner. So allegedly, don't come after us. Allegedly, we don't know whether true or not. We're not here to discuss whether true or not.
Wikipedia, we don't know the facts.
We don't know. This is what we know from the internet.
Yes.
Don't come after us. So, but it's basically that's allegedly this is what happened. But there were other things as well about like political unrest and all that, and including this recent Look at Me one, which is like not just political or social unrest, it's about more religious side of things. Yeah. Which has happened in other films. Other films have been banned for the same reason, the religious, especially the religious part. For example, The Exorcist in long time ago. Now he has a rating.
Exorcist was banned in
1973. Now he has an M18 thing. But because there was a according to Wikipedia,
quote, right, language that denigrates religion or is religiously profane because of a particular scene. If you all have watched the movie, you all will know what scene it is, okay?
Yeah.
But basically there was a disfigured statue of the Virgin Mary, and then another one which is the very profane one where
stab herself in the
coochie
in the vajayjays
in the downstairs with the crucifix and be like F whoever is on the crucifix. Yeah, it's not too comfortable to be saying. Yeah.
Not great. Yeah. So yes, so because of that they banned the movie, but until recently then they gave it an M18. Yeah. So they have done it before. And honestly speaking, out of all the reasons, which will go into other reasons, I find this the easiest to get behind. Even though I don't necessarily agree with it.
As in you're talking about #LookAtMe.
Like this the easiest for me to understand why. Even though I don't necessarily agree it's the best way to go. So for me personally, when I look at like such like whether or not something should be banned, I think about like what is the consequence of not banning it and what's the consequence of banning it. Okay. So the consequence of not banning it is, of course, we never know for sure, but it is possible that there will be like actual social unrest. Right. You can sit here and go like, no lah, people are not so sensitive, people are not so shit, whatever. But like, let's just be honest, we never know for real. And according to TikTok comments, everyone is very sensitive and everyone is very...
Everyone's just trying to fight because they're bored.
So we have in fact proven track record that people might get quite angry at these sort of things. So if anything, I can get behind that reasoning. But also on the other hand, there's the impact of banning it, which is that honestly speaking, if you didn't tell me about Look at Me didn't get banned, I wouldn't have known about the movie.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been such a smash hit for me either.
Yeah, I wouldn't have I wouldn't even have known the movie that exists. But now that I know it's banned, I want to watch it.
Yeah, like you tickled by it, right?
Yeah. In fact, there was one of the Independent wrote. Independent is not exactly the most like reputable news source, whatever. But he says, but I like the headline is local film #LookAtMe banned from screening in Singapore, but netizens say the ban only makes them want to watch it even more.
Yeah, actually, Bluebird. You know who's Bluebird, right?
Yeah.
Bluebird done by Liu Ki-chan and gang, right? Yeah. They actually made a parody news article about how they interviewed a so-and-so Singaporean, like Tanah Kau, that kind of caricature, right? And then they said that like, actually, I don't even know what this movie is, but now the government banned it, all the more I want to watch. Exactly. Which is so on point. Which is so on point.
It's right? It's like a Asian child thing, what? Like
forbidden fruit tastes the sweetest.
Exactly. And it's about like, like there's this like old adage, right? If you have a strict parents, you don't raise good children, you just raise sneaky children. Yeah. So, and that's kind of like how the Singapore government is to us.
If you have strict sushi, right, you do not raise good sushi, you raise sneaky sushi.
I hated every moment of that. I saw it coming. I saw it coming from very far away and hated it the whole way through.
No, but I totally agree with you. Yeah. And that becomes problematic because when I first saw that news headline, what was the first thought that popped in my head?
What?
Which country can I go to watch? And then I thought to myself, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I thinking? Like,
you can just watch it on the internet.
yeah lah, but like I did consider like what if I want to be completely incognito and properly enjoy it in the cinema just because they say banned from showing, right?
Yeah.
I want to sit in cinema and rebelliously watch it. Right? Which country will have in the cinema? Right?
To be fair, yeah, okay. I think that's the one reaction to it, which is the reason why I don't really understand why why Singapore government still bans movies.
Right.
Because quite honestly, right, okay, I understand in 1973 if you ban a movie.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, if you ban something in 1973 and you like they don't have the internet.
They do not have. I totally agree.
They don't get the internet, and like travel was less prevalent in the past.
Yeah.
Like they can't get access to this movie. So when you ban it, you actually ban it. Like you can't watch it.
Dude, this is what they were talking about in terms of like I recently learned about this term about the Barbra Streisand effect. If y'all have not heard of the Barbra Streisand effect, I highly recommend y'all go and Google it. A psychologist coined that term and it's relatively modern, but basically some Barbra Streisand made noise about how in a picture of a coastline, their house was appeared in the photo and they don't know send lawyer letter or whatever to have it taken down.
Yeah.
And then prior to that whole fiasco, that picture was only viewed in that gallery 3 times. But after that happened,
everyone just watched it.
Because they wanted to keep their house private, so that picture they were like, "Hey, why you put my house in your picture?"
Yeah.
Suddenly, that picture just blew up and it went crazy, and everyone knew where they lived.
Exactly. If it's like if influencers like do something messed up and then they take down the post
or they off comments.
Even worse. Everyone's gonna want to see what the hell is going on. So like I don't understand that because like and the worst thing is that in the past they banned it, you can't get access to it, and most you just angry like, hey, why never show me? But you can't watch it.
No, and like back I love that you brought up the comment about the past because back in the past we were not so interconnected in terms of internet and smart devices. Like someone else brought up a really good point. Like they said that like they were trying to fight with conspiracy theories in a stream or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were asking the conspiracy theories like, do you honestly think that anything in the world can be kept secret anymore?
Yeah,
right?
I remember I saw that.
And one of the conspiracy theories like absolutely, they are hiding things from us. Then the guy argued that absolutely not. Everyone has a camera, everyone has a recorder, everyone has a device in every setting you can ever imagine in your life. There's no way anyone is 100% blocking something and getting everyone in the room to agree with it.
Exactly. Like it's very difficult to coordinate everything for conspiracy. Like, I agree. And it's just that like it no longer applies now. Because like now you can just like Google that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you just Google Look At Me, and quite sure if Look At Me has a digital version, they put on Vimeo or some shit. Like, we can watch it on Vimeo. Like, for free. In fact, if you put it on goddamn, like, anywhere else, even if you need to pay for it, people will pay for it, you know?
will install AdBlock just to go to their website so that they can risk all the keyloggers just to...
Exactly. And HSM say toward dark web. And the worst part is that you don't even need to go to the dark web. You can just like... Or, alternatively, you can just like take a car across to JB and watch it in JB.
I don't know whether it will appear in Malaysia.
Yeah, if it does. So like, in that sense, I don't get the practicality of it.
I think, okay, so I think this one brings us to the real question of why we're even discussing this today, right? Which is why. Right? Our government is not stupid. Going on?
Yeah, they're not stupid. They know
clearly
all this.
not stupid. Right? They're definitely watching this also. Hello.
They're smarter than us.
They're definitely spying on this, right? Hello.
Yeah, 100, what's up? How are you doing? Don't sue me.
Come on our show. Okay, but anyway, so as I was saying to our spies, I mean our prying eyes. No lah, but like let's be real here. Okay?
Yes.
Our government is successful is purely because it's not stupid.
They're not stupid. If I can come out of this, in what John was saying, if you can come out of these things while eating McDonald's outside on a random dining room, right?
Yeah. Like, where someone who is actually paid to think about this, right?
Yeah. They definitely have thought about this multiple times.
The moment Ken Kwek take up a camera, right, they're like,
wait a minute.
Boys, something's coming. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. So they have definitely thought about this, but they still did, which got us thinking, why? There is probably a good reason that we are not seeing that this is happening.
I have a theory.
Go with your theory.
My theory is that they did a cost-benefit analysis.
Yes.
And they realized that, right, if they ban the movie, right, which can, like, okay, so first they gather their heads and everything, then identify that, okay, so, product A, right, potentially can cause problems. Can cause problems. No one knows, right?
Yeah.
You cannot predict things that haven't happened, what?
Yeah.
Right? Potentially can cause problems because of the content. But at the same time, right, the cost-benefit analysis be like, but then I will piss off a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Including whoever appeared in the show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they are fans. Then they were like, right? They were like,
Like, wait a minute.
Then after that, they decided that like, okay, so the potential to do harm, right, outweighs the angry people.
Yeah.
So they were like, let's ban it.
But
So that's quite smart because if you think about it, right, you don't need to worry about people being angry, right, if they don't know it exists. Or rather, they know it exists, but they form no attachment to it. You need to deal with those who are already angry.
Okay. Yeah. But I think I do agree with the cost benefit analysis, except that there's an interaction now. Is that if you do ban it, there's an extra con that more people might watch it.
Correct. Okay.
Which I'm quite sure they thought about it, which makes me think the only logical explanation for why they still do it is because most Singaporeans don't give a shit.
I think it's because the more people that will watch it, it's not that many.
Correct. Most Singaporeans will go, oh, this movie got banned, and they don't care.
Like, oh shit. And then after that.
And they say, hey, got Black Adam today. Black Adam, like, hey, the Tampines got Black Adam 4:30. Holy shit, man. Got premium seats or not? Hey, the premium seats not bad. Got truffle fries.
Okay, but
that'll be most people.
That's true. I don't deny. I can imagine it happening right in front of me. Yeah. It'll be outraged for 5 seconds. But they're outraged not because they feel something for the film, but because government say no.
Yeah, correct.
Why you don't allow me? Him, why cannot?
No, this got no good movies. I tell you, then they look at
them. Then after that, like, you want to eat, want to go eat hot pot, watch Black Adam.
It's like, nowadays, see, this is why the movie industry is going down. Hey, got Black Adam, man. And that's the exact interaction of most Singaporeans when they hear the story.
They're apathetic.
There are people like us who, obviously, because we're in the media industry.
And also, we make podcasts, nothing to talk about, right?
That's true. And we also enjoy film, which makes us more intrigued by these things. And I'm quite sure people like, for example, like the people like Luki Chan, partly because it's content, also partly because I'm quite sure he's appreciative of the arts. So these people, of course, will be outraged, but at the same time, these are the very small minority in the grand scheme of things.
That's the calculation that the smart people in the government have done.
Have to do, yes. And I'm quite sure this means that once again, we are not from the government, so I can say all this shit and it'll probably be false. So government, this is not me saying that this is what you're thinking, but I'm just guessing.
I am not related to him by any means or measure. Continue.
But yeah, but this... ever since Zad told us about like the fact that 50% of Singaporeans don't even know about 377A, I think it changed my perspective quite a bit. That all the things that I'm thinking about as like very important social issues, to most people, they probably don't even know it's a problem.
Right.
Or they quite honestly have better things to worry about.
So hear me out. I'm going to ask something that's potentially iffy. Okay.
Will we get sued?
We will not, but it's a genuine question. Right? I don't need you to answer. If you don't know, you don't know. And if you think it's too much, whatever. But a genuine question pops in my mind.
Yes, go on.
Right. Which is, Singaporeans don't care about these things. Right? Yeah. Is it because the government has sheltered us too much? Or is it because the government has blocked too much?
So like, we don't care because we trust the government?
On the positive side, you can call it sheltering.
Like trust.
Right? Like maybe, it's an umbrella.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it blocks the rain. Right?
Yeah.
All your life you learn like, oh wow, it keeps me dry, things are great.
Yeah.
But for all you know, right, it is also an intentional move to block certain other things from you too. I got me. So do you think it's the former?
Yeah.
Or the latter?
I do think that Singaporeans in general are okay, maybe not lah. But my impression is that like Singaporeans in general are quite trusting of the government, especially when the government says it's for social stability.
Yeah,
we all intrinsically understand the reason why social stability is important for our nation.
Of course, we thrive off it.
Yeah, so we all understand why. So whenever a government says that this can affect social stability and gives us a reason why, we are more often than not more willing to err on give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think people are like, what the heck? Government stop us again? What social inequality? What social disability? Instability or dispute or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then they're like, shit's fucked. And then they move on.
Because
that's which comes back to the earlier question. Is it because the government, right, has sheltered us enough that we just like, in the end, Ape will take care of us? Or is it government has blocked enough that we are no matter what we do, no matter what we do, nothing, it will not happen.
Is it like I don't know what I don't know?
Yeah. So like
ooh,
as
I think it'll be hard to
like
say.
thinking that we are still in control, that kind of this is conspiracy shit.
I don't think it's that level. I'm gonna be honest.
No, but like you can
that
see
sounds
where
sexy.
but you can see where why people might think that, right?
Okay, that sounds like I would love to agree for the TikTok clip, right? But
we're not about that kind
but
of
we're not about that kind of life.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's that bad. I do think that Singaporeans are not as sheeple or like as dead following the government as we think they are. Even those people who really love the government, there are times where they're like, wait, this is weird.
Like humans are more self-aware than you.
I think they are self-aware. I do think the apatheticness of Singaporeans with regards to this kind of political social things, it does not stem from the government.
Right.
I think it just stems from like our lack of understanding of it. Maybe because like unfortunately accessibility to social and political
that means your
discussions
point is
less.
is the former.
What do you mean? Which is that we got shouted too much?
No, because we're too well taken care of, right? We do not see these things as problems.
It could be.
Because our lives are good.
It could be. It's not even like I don't think it's the government's fault. I think it's just like we are generally quite apathetic. To be fair, these days less and less. But in general, I think we are quite satisfied with our lives, and therefore we don't really think much about it. And I feel like also conversations around like social issues and political issues are quite gate-kept in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it feels like an uncle from a coffee shop cannot have a discussion about it.
Which you see, we have to think again. What's the reason, right?
Yeah, I don't know why also.
Conspiracy again.
I don't think it's conspiracy. I think it's just like as a nation, we haven't been brought up to be very socially or politically aware,
right?
As versus like a.
Do you think that is the reason? The reason we were not brought up to be very politically aware?
Yeah.
Is an effort to is it because we are sheltered or because there was an effort to suppress it?
No, I don't think it's no.
Ooh, conspiracy.
Do you feel like no, okay, in Hwa Chong, I don't know about you guys. When Hwa Chong they were trying their level best to make us interested in politics.
Right.
And societal issues.
I cannot remember my time in Hwa Chong because I was never there.
Oh wow.
No, but okay, I do not remember this at all.
In school, did they not like ask you like, hey, go and read the news, go and like
no, but it's been a long time and I don't know. But and like it makes me think, and okay, let me tell you, I'm gonna give you my answer about whether whether it's sheltered or whether it's suppressed, right?
Yeah.
My answer is I completely don't know. Right, because I feel like I do not know enough to form my opinion about this.
Yeah.
But it does appear in my head as a question.
Yeah, I got
about whether the result of how Singaporeans are apathetic towards these films, which may also embody some of the struggles of marginalized communities. Right, I don't know the apathy is because we too sheltered to care, or we were suppressed to lose that emotion.
Okay.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I get me.
But the reason why I even bring this up and why I even suddenly thought about this is because recently I played this game called Triangle Strategy.
Is it a Lunati thing?
No. It's like a Final Fantasy tactics. It's a game about choice. Quite cool because there is this one particular nation that is thriving, super rich, right? Has a monopoly on a resource called salt, right? But it is actually a dystopia.
Oh, because like
because they use religion.
Yeah.
To marginalize a group of people, which has the game quite cool because there's some racial undertones, right?
Yeah.
A group of pink-haired people, and say that these pink-haired people are forced to slave at the salt mines, right?
Yeah.
Because their ancestors did something wrong
it's
according
like
to the religion. Yes, like according to the religion, their ancestors did something wrong, and that got me thinking because this is a great illustration of how dystopian governments can be.
Yeah. Okay. I do think that. That's why they're dystopias. Right? Yeah.
And the story in the end, how it panned out was that this entire thing, right, was not even in the religion. It was just this one elder member of the council in that government, right?
Just
who
put it in.
took the reins of society, created a false god.
Yeah.
And continued this operation so that in his head, right, as many people benefited as possible with as little loss. Which is a very utilitarian approach, right?
Yeah.
But also very dystopian because at the expense of a suppressed...
Well, that's like going to philosophy.
And it gets bad because the general public...
I don't know.
Not only they don't treat these pink-haired workers as people, right?
Yeah.
They subscribe to the belief fully.
Yeah.
Right? That everything is hunky-dory, everything is great, everyone's happy.
So it's okay. I get why it is. Okay, so you are thinking that it is possible to be
By
suppressed.
by no means I'm saying that Singapore is like that.
No, I don't think it
But
is.
it gave me an insight of how a government, if malicious, I'm not saying Singapore is.
In theory.
In theory, imaginary government, if malicious, can suppress using it this way by
Sure.
insinuating that certain things bring in conflict. And then if their citizens are taken care of well enough and built upon this anti-conflict arrangement, right, they'll be like, yeah, it's bad.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where it got me thinking. By no means I'm saying that, please, for those of y'all that are conspiracy theorists, this is not the place for that. I'm not trying to say that Singapore is doing this.
I don't think it is.
But if we're asking about why we ban things, right?
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, a valid thought.
Like that, it might be for this reason.
It might be an evil reason if we are run by bad people but we're not .
Okay, I really don't think it is, because I think that at least for Singapore, at least my experience, I've been raised from young to want to be politically aware and socially aware. It's just that I don't know why I wasn't in the past until I did do IMO. So like I don't think it's like necessarily the government doesn't want you to be socially aware or politically aware. In fact, I think they do. It's just that for some reason, maybe our culture or something, we aren't. We aren't I think it's on us, not really the government in that case.
Right.
So I don't think it's for malicious reasons, but I do think that we were talking about this over dinner.
Yeah.
I do think it is to exert a certain level of control, which I don't think is a bad thing.
So it's like a flex.
No lah.
Okay.
I guess
like
useless
flex,
is
right?
like I can.
Like just because I can. Like your parents scold you, say like you all argue until an impasse, then they say, why then you're like, why must I listen to you? Then like, because I'm your father.
I can kick you off the house.
Because this is my house.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe. Who knows? But then
that's straight out of flex.
Maybe it might be a flex, to be honest. It might be just like a gentle nudge and reminder, like, hey, I'm here, you know, I still exist, you know.
But at the same time, right, this is the same government that repealed 377A. So what gives?
Okay, I do, but even 377A, in fact, 377A is a very good example. The whole time when they were repealing 377A, all I could think of was this was the most Singaporean government way of doing this. Because it was so, they did it their way. They did it the most controlled way possible. They repealed it, but they added extra laws to uphold, like, especially in the constitution.
I feel that they did it in a balanced way.
Yeah, so they did it in their way. They did it in a controlled way, in a way that they had control over the consequences and everything.
Singapore.
Which is very Singaporean. But Singapore government, I don't think it's a bad thing that necessarily that we value, that the government values control. Because every government values control. Because that's the only way, that's leadership, right? Leadership is not, okay, control is a bad way to put it, but getting people to adhere to your policies, getting people to adhere to your
whether through
visions.
Inspiration or tyranny is a spectrum, right?
Correct. But at the end of the day, people have to follow your goals and your wants and your and
the more aligned people they are, the faster you progress.
Exactly. So control is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it is a good thing.
Unity.
Okay, unity maybe might be a better thing, a better way to talk about it. But I think this just might be another secondary way is think about is just the government showing that they can.
Actually, you brought a good point. Because now that you think about it, as we went through the list of movies, right, that were initially banned, a large majority of them were banned subsequently later.
Like what I mean?
Like for example, The Exorcist, 1970 something banned.
Yeah.
Now not banned already.
Or like unbanned subsequently later.
So I think the reason is that, like you mentioned, Singapore takes a very controlled approach. So when things come that with too many variables,
they just ban.
They just be like, okay, I see the harm.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not taking that risk. Singapore is not a risky nation with its policies.
I agree. I agree. 100%.
So it's like I see the potential for harm. I'm not taking that risk.
And
no. Until I say yes.
And then eventually
when they have enough data,
right?
Or enough enough data, enough time.
Basically, they have never seen this. Sometimes like when this movie comes out, like for example, Exorcist comes out in 1973, it was a first of its kind, right? I'm assuming. And then they go like, holy shit, we have never got this before. Yeah. We don't know how to deal with it. And they just err on the side of caution.
Yeah. So that means no malice.
I don't think it's malice.
So no conspiracy. So basically, right, the Singapore government approach, I think, can be summarized to one sentence. Whenever it comes to even any media, we don't talk about actually anything. You don't even talk about banning movies. Can be banning anything. Yeah. Right? Their approach is very simple. It's no until you convince me.
Maybe. Who knows, man? Maybe.
Think about it.
Maybe.
I feel that that's the case.
Maybe PMDs one day will be unbanned.
Yeah, maybe
Chewing gums.
maybe
Wait, what's the? I don't think
maybe go overseas can marijuana. Okay, that one is a long
that
shot.
one
lah.
long shot. That was
The
a
only reason
long
I mentioned
shot.
these two is because they were in the news recently. lah.
Okay, wait. The chewing gum one, at first it was a complete ban on chewing gums, right?
Yes.
But nowadays you can use it for personal consumption,
You
right?
can consume, but you
But
cannot sell.
So I think that's a good way of thinking about it also. Because when it first came out, the government was like, I was about to say Lee Kuan Yew for some reason, but the government was like, fuck chewing gums. No chewing gums for all of you motherfuckers. Because you keep putting on the MRT seats. So screw you guys. So they just banned it straight up. But then these days they're like, yeah, sure, take your fucking chewing gum, just eat it on your
Yeah, and I think that like Singapore, you can call it as a slow progress.
Yeah.
But it is a swift progress. If you think about it, right? Even the armed force progresses slowly. Last time, phones cannot have camera in camp.
Yeah.
And now, right,
It's like
devices are smarter than ever, right?
Yeah.
But phones with cameras are allowed.
But
Because
I think
it's an inevitability, right? As world progress, the policy has to evolve with it. But not immediately, what? Not like new. So I feel, right, hear me out.
Yeah.
I just suddenly had a random analogy.
Come.
So there are countries that immediately react and be okay with this kind of thing, right? Those are Android operating system.
It's the iOS, right?
We all
Singapore's
iPhone.
iOS. It's like we want the best experience, and then we were.
Then people ask, why you always still buy iPhone, man? Goddamn, but people keep buying.
I guess so. Maybe actually.
Every year also same. People still buying.
Maybe, okay, I would love to have a Singapore government official who is in charge of these policies to sit here and...
Any IMDA person, if you like to come to our podcast, we would highly appreciate it.
Yeah, like if you can sit here and like disprove or like I say yes or no to our theories, that would be great. But these are our theories. And I
Help
think
us expand our brain.
as far as I know, all these theories to me makes logical sense.
They're just theories.
They're just theories, not based on anything, just based on feels.
Yeah.
But I think there's another thing that I want to talk a little bit about was like, not just why, but like maybe whether or not it should be. I think that's the tougher conversation. And I just now said at the start of the podcast that like for social instability, as much as I don't agree that it should be banned, I can kind of see the reason why.
But social instability is a very broad and vague term.
Okay, would you rather look at me or be not banned?
I would very much rather look at me be not banned, but
So you don't
I
think
also
that's-
have to admit,
Yeah.
right, that I do not have the overview of the government. So my
You haven't watched
choices
the movie
are very
either.
much more personal compared to
To like what's
the
good for the group lah.
government's zoomed out view.
Yeah. I mean, okay, do you think it's valid? If let's say there was a movie that really possibly can
No,
cause
but
social
good
unrest,
point that you
do
mentioned
think it's
about
valid?
validity.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me whether look at me, was valid to be banned,
Yeah.
right? I want to say a reluctant yes.
Okay.
Okay, purely
Unfortunate.
because the government has the understanding that unrest between religious groups versus the LGBTQ community is on a pretty
They are like
it's
they're like
it's
estranged parents that like haven't really like
it's
quite.
a very high
over their
tension.
trauma,
It almost feels
yeah.
like a rubber band that is stretched to the max.
I can 100%.
You know,
it's about to
and-
snap one day. I am very sure of it.
Yeah, and
It's gonna
just
snap one day.
because they are not out on the streets actively hating each other doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And this is something that
100%.
the government will be super aware of and privy to because, of course, the government wants everyone to get together, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So like that is something that I think the government see the potential to like, maybe stretch further. Don't know whether it's snap or not, but we'll stretch further. Let's not do that. Maybe that was an effort by the government to not let things be divisive now. Maybe as we mentioned earlier, right? As society progresses, the tension loosens a bit, right?
Then
They're like, oh, okay, it passed a certain Newton of force already. Let's stretch.
Yeah.
Right? Then that's where it becomes unbanned.
Maybe actually, that's a good point lah. I think validity wise, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Reluctant, yes. There'll be people who go like that's you're placing a lot of trust in the government and placing a lot of trust in the government's ability to discern whether or not something is really that detrimental to our social stability.
Yeah.
Or like have that I guess good mind to judge these things. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, the government's not on the ground, right? Like they won't know these things and they don't know what's good for us or whatever.
Which is also not wrong.
which is fair. I think a fair concern. But I am leaning more towards the side that I would rather trust them lah. I think I trust them. And as much as I would love to watch the movie, and I would love a situation where we could watch the movie without there being any risk of social instability, I do have to agree that, you know, it's not necessarily a good risk to take.
Yeah, it is. That's the reason why I say reluctant. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you really zoom out and view Singapore as a whole, right, one movie about the struggles of the LGBTQ community, in the government's eyes, it's not even that deep. It's just one movie.
Yeah.
One movie versus the stability of community in Singapore. When you view it like that in completely isolated, robotic, impartial views, right?
Yeah.
The choice almost seems obvious. It's only because we contextualize and it's important because for the both of us, we know the people personally that it may impact. Right? We know the people that this kind of message will positively reinforce. Right? Yes. That's where it becomes a little bit more personal and hence the reluctance.
Yeah, I think we understand what a movie like this, especially LGBT representation within the Singapore media scene, which is very rare. I don't know whether is it allowed anymore in MediaCorp. I don't know whether it's allowed in MediaCorp at all, but the fact that there's LGBT representation in Singapore media is going to be a very big thing in the scene. And for people who are growing up and like looking at like at their TVs or their movies to see like more role models, this is going to be a big thing that they want. And all these things are, you know, I think movies are meant, of course, movies have the ability to, I guess, shape societal like impressions and minds, right? And that's the reason why the government doesn't necessarily, sometimes might err on the side of caution and ban because they think movies can influence people. But at the same time,
which is not wrong.
But at the same time, I also think that another function of a movie is to reflect society. And in a weird way, that's cathartic to especially those people who are marginalized and who might be, you know, feeling a lot of injustice. Having a movie portray that can help make their voices a bit more seen and maybe more heard.
No, I totally agree. And I think the government sees this too.
Yeah.
Right. But like I said, because our government is very risk adverse. So when it comes to like, okay, we're gonna uplift a small section of society. Right? Because they are our people too.
Yes.
But
it has to come at that cost. Yeah. It has to come in their way.
So they have to do it in without the kindness of the I'm sorry, but I'm going to go with option B. Because as the government is not a person who can be like, I'm sorry. We're not a monarchy. We're a democracy. So it's a whole bunch of people who and an agency and a governmental agency that has to like, you know what, we're going to have to make this tough call, but we're going to have to make this call. It's not going to be a popular one, but we're going to have to make it. Even though we know the implication.
I'm going to do like a final... How long have we been running for, John? 40-something minutes?
37
minutes. Okay. I'm going to do one like a last little segue.
Sure.
A last little thought. We talked about banned movies so far. And of course, there are other movies that have been banned like for like extreme violence and all that stuff. I think that one I'm not too worried about because I honestly don't give a shit about extreme violence. Sure. But like I'm talking about like, especially about, since we're on the topic of like the LGBTQ community, there has been like a few movies in recent times, or maybe not so recent times, that have gained like very, very high ratings. Not in the box score, but I mean like in terms of like they got M18 ratings or NC16 ratings, especially for scenes that to many people are like very innocuous. For example, the Disney one recently, is it Lightyear? Lightyear. So they had one scene where there's a kiss. There's a kiss.
Same-sex couple.
A same-sex couple kissed, and it was just a kiss. It wasn't even romantic. It was just like a
peck.
It's like a peck. It's like, oh my god, hype.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're main characters. Are they even the main characters?
I never watched I don't
even know whether they're the main characters, but it doesn't look like it. So it doesn't. Okay, so just based on this one scene, it became NC16. Which, like, we didn't know an IMO episode about it then, but now that we are on this topic, I don't get why. Like, the rest of it, I can give government and go like, hey, I get it, political stability, I get it, social stability, I get it, might piss off the religious groups. That one I get. But like...
It's the same,
I like piss off the religious groups.
Yeah.
But this one is not in a push off the religious groups in a way that will like tear everything apart. You get what I
It
mean?
might what?
Will it?
What if
Just a kiss?
What if a kid asked during the movie, a religious kid asked their religious parent, like, how come got two mothers?
Kissing.
Yeah.
But will it really divide society? If it will, then why is it not getting the same treatment as Look at Me?
But think about it, right? I just want you to realize this is a great thought experiment that we just did. The mere fact that I asked you that the kid say this, and then our response is because we are uncertain how these adults will respond. And
I think they'll respond terribly.
And I think that's the cost benefit analysis that they see will be the no bueno.
No, but the thing is that I get it, but I don't think it's like consistent. Okay, for example, the Look at Me, part of it is the religious side of things, like it might piss off the religious side, right? And then they might cause like a lot of political instability.
Yeah, because the hashtag Look at Me scene was not as simple as a LGBTQ community member kissing another same-sex couple.
But isn't it the same reasoning? Then why is that banned and
because
the kiss is
if I'm not wrong, I remember the article correctly, right? The hashtag Look at Me, right, was banned because there was an oppressive behavior done by a religious leader.
Okay. So
against the member of the LGBT.
Ooh. Okay,
there
so
was
it's a
an
bit
active
more
religious effort to against one of the characters. Of course, I never watched the show so I wouldn't know.
Also another thing. NC-16, for example, NC-16, right? If let's say a 17-year-old kid goes to watch with the family and the family is religious, what's stopping the 17-year-old kid from going like, Ma, why they kiss? Like, can't the 17-year-old also ask the question?
But I think like
then why
the nature of the rating is so that like
to me that's very
like
arbitrary.
Older kids will have a better understanding, but also at the same time, right? Hear me out.
Yeah.
What if, right? That is another sign of the Singapore's government's compromise.
That you can watch this, but
that
when
they
you're
have to do something to appease the potential people who might be potentially offended by it.
Yeah.
Right? But without outright removing it because they understand. What if that was the olive branch?
It might be. And it will be very characteristic of the government, but also
that was the closest they could get.
I honestly think if we done the cost benefit analysis, like there is no the cost of like showing a kiss scene in Lightyear, like make it PG-13 or whatever, like will be it's not that.
No, but that is us looking at it from the point of view or with the expectation that maybe it shouldn't have any rating. Right? It should be G, right? We would love
even
it
if it's
to be G.
PG-13, I think I'll be fine with it.
Yeah, but like that is us with that expectation.
Yeah.
But the government cannot have this kind of expectation. They have to look from both ends of the spectrum because if you think about it, because of that same sex case, some religious citizen who finds it offensive might be straight up be thinking, this is R21. So if you have that expectation, the government having to act in the interest of everyone, right, has to find a compromise.
Wow, I don't know, man.
And that's where I'm starting to see the government's effort.
Maybe, but I also and Zad said this before also. It's like it's always about like the children of Singapore. This for like the children of Singapore, whatever. Then those like queer children, not children, man.
No, but maybe 10 years ago, right? It wouldn't have been NC-16, right?
It would have been worse. You've been banned.
It might have been R21.
I agree. It probably would have.
So the fact that now the age is getting younger, where the children are able to still be children-ish.
I guess so. 16.
I mean, teens until you're 20, 19 is still a teen.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that's an effort. That's a step forward in that sense. It's actually an olive branch. We're just looking at it from the wrong perspective.
I agree that it has gotten significantly better. And it does seem that the government is a bit more willing to like let go a little bit. But I do hope that there are plans to completely let go.
Yeah, but the worst case that the government wants to prevent, which I think is what they're trying to do, is where internally there's strife. So the government can let go if they want, right? Easy. Right? Or the government can clamp down if they want. Easy. Very easy. They write the policies after all. But what they don't want is internal strife. They don't want their kiddos to be fighting amongst themselves.
Maybe.
That could be, if you look at it from that lens, suddenly a lot of their actions make sense.
My point of view,
why they don't appease one group, or why they don't just go with one group, why they repeal 377, or why they even let Pink Dot continue despite all the religious backlash that people wear white color, all that kind of thing, or even go to the event and make noise, why they don't do that? Because they don't want
because Singapore government
nice lah.
They are like
they secretly being nice, but they strict.
I agree.
I think.
Maybe.
I think they're secretly nice, but they strict. They just don't want, like, you imagine it's like those parents, right? Very fierce one. Can you one?
Yeah.
But then when the siblings fight each other, they low key heartbreak.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
Like they fight, then they heartbreak, then they stop. Right? Then take out the cane and threaten you, but then at night,
cry. Why am I a failed parent?
Am I a failure as a parent?
Yeah,
low key, right?
Maybe.
Low key, right?
But my perspective is this, and maybe I'm quite sure Singapore's government has thought about it, but maybe for the rest of you who might not have, my opinion is lower it, not because I think everyone should. I don't think it's like a morality or by principle thing. I think if you're like a queer child, like if you're like 12 or whatever, or 13, and you're queer, and you don't have in Singapore, you don't even have like gay media to see a good role model on screen or a good representation of a healthy gay relationship on screen. Not only that, you don't even have representation on screen, straight up. So you don't know. I feel like it's a lot more unhealthy if they have to find their own representation or find different forms of this kind of relationships online through various media that might not be very representative or might not be a good role model, like porn, like all these other things. That's significantly worse. Why would you want that to be their first exposure to a healthy relationship, especially if you're queer? But versus them just showing one kiss like this, which, by the way, very heartwarming. I watched that scene. Looks wonderful.
It makes you a criminal because you're 13.
It's very heartwarming. And if I were a kid, I'll be like, wow, that looks great. Like, I will want that kind of relationship. To be honest, I don't know the two characters at all, but that looked very healthy.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think that's something that, as a child, I would want and I would honestly need at 13, especially when you're going through puberty. You don't quite know what is a healthy relationship. You don't quite know how you should behave or react to like different different factors pulling together, like lust, like love, like infatuation and all that. It's all pulling at you. It's very confusing. Having something on screen to role model after or have representation over is going to help a lot.
Yeah, and that's the argument that most people have about regulation versus ban.
Yeah.
Right, and I think with regulation, those are the benefits.
Yeah.
But right now, I think what the government has done is that after they do this cost-benefit analysis again and realize, yes, there are these costs, there are these benefits, right? There's so many good things that can come out from it, right?
Yeah.
But the potential for the cost is still currently too high.
Maybe.
For all you know, that is the entire reason. Because I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't regulate things and ban things that are already accessible in this globalized world, people are going to turn to the black markets.
Yeah.
And those are the worst places that you want people to pick things up from.
Yeah, because they
are
don't care.
unregulated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? Which is the entire reason, hear me out, right? MES is so strict on crypto. Because not only is it still new, it's unregulated, we still don't understand. But government understand that in future there are a lot of people who are invested in this.
Yeah.
So let's be gentle with the way we deal with it, but be strict. So it's really like the parent, the tiger parent that be like, no, until you convince me.
It's a tiger softie, yeah.
Yeah, until you convince me, until you prove to me you grew up already. In that sense. That's the Asian parenting
Actually,
style.
that's a good analogy.
Right? No, until you prove to me you grew up already.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. But I think other than that, like, I feel like I've seen a few other movies. The reason why we haven't brought up the other reasons because like honestly I don't feel too much for it. Like for example, like as I said, extreme violence or
that one
or like a very extreme sex scene or whatever. Honestly speaking, you ban or not ban or whatever.
To be fair,
okay,
let's be very real here. Graphic scenes, right?
Type of doesn't know this.
Have made it through to Singaporeans viewing.
Like Saw wasn't banned.
Dude, you don't even need to go that far. Right now on Netflix, there are multiple shows with disturbing scenes.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So I won't say I'm
so clearly it's not like a I don't let you watch bad things
It's like this is fucked up.
It's like this might be fucked up. You can watch it if you don't fight with your sister.
I agree. So I'm not that pressed about that, but I am a little bit like concerned about, not say concerned, but like I do hope that there is a solution for the other two, like for the racial social instability thing. I do think social issues we should be able to use art and movies or whatever as a medium to express our concerns with society.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, even we are doing it in this podcast, right? So I don't see why movies should not be allowed to do that. So that one, I understand the government's concerns, but I hope one day we will be able to reach a point where the government agrees that we are capable of handling these art forms with care and concern, and with the gentleness and with the tact that it deserves.
We would love to see that future, but I have to be real here. Given my understanding of the world, of Singapore, I won't be pretentious and say the world. Given my understanding of Singapore, and given the intolerance we see day to day on social media, I think that is a hint and a glimpse into society not being ready. Maybe. And who's to say, who are we to dictate whether society is ready, right? We are nobody, right? But
that's true.
If nobodies like us can identify that certain aspects of society are not ready, what more the government who holds the reins?
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So that's where it becomes like
I feel like it's a bit of a...
It is what
it's
it
a bit
is
of a circular argument also.
Yeah.
Because the argument starts because we don't really exactly trust the government, but we come back to... It's complicated.
What if we are the toxic ones?
Maybe.
We are the drama.
Maybe. But I think with that, any final thoughts, John?
I think that in order to truly win the fight, to even call it a fight is something that I'm not comfortable with, but to truly win the fight and get society to the state we want it to be, right? Whether it's talking about media censorship, or whether it's talking about regulation, whether it's talking about anything, we need to understand that instead of fighting against the government for not letting us have things, we need to try to build society to mitigate the cost so that the government
feels like we're ready,
feels safe to proceed. Because after all, the government's job is not just to take care of one segment of society, no matter how marginalized. Their policies are to take care of as many people as possible. It might sound heartless, especially those people who are actively feeling negative effects from some of the policies.
100%.
But that is the very unfortunate reality of policy. There's no silver bullet.
Yeah, I agree. And as I said before, like I feel like I would love for these movies to one day be unbanned, and I will be able to watch these movies, and I hope that if when it does happen, that we as society will prove to the government right that we are ready to handle this with the gentleness it deserves and with the tact it deserves.
Yeah.
And until then,
it's a pipe dream.
It's a pipe dream. It's honestly a pipe dream. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. Try not to get sued. See you guys next week.
Yeah, wear masks if you're coughing and sick. Bye.
Bye.